This is your Fanshawe TV news brief for Thursday, February 5th. I'm Catherine Vincent. Here's what's making headlines today. In local news, a massive marijuana grow operation was discovered in London yesterday. Police seized 2 loaded vials during a search of the home on Warncliffe Road North. Officers discovered 157 marijuana plants growing in the basement with the street value estimated at $157,000. Veterinarians who monitor food safety at federally regulated poultry slaughterhouses are taking the government to court, claiming a pilot program that shifts inspection duties to slaughterhouse workers breaks federal rules and could pose a health risk to Canadians. Under the proposed changes, called the Poultry Rejection Program, slaughterhouse employees would be responsible for monitoring birds as they pass through the production lines, a task usually carried out by veterinarians working for the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. The changes would also mean slaughterhouses wouldn't have to make public the reasons why carcasses were rejected, say the veterinarians. It is being argued, however, that the programs break regulations in the Meat Inspection Act. A 3-page document filed by a union representing 611 federal veterinarians to the federal court in Ottawa states that it is contrary to the public interest to displace these regulatory requirements by procedures conducted by persons who are not qualified or independent veterinarians and whose activities are not subject to public scrutiny. Union President Michel Demers said the pilot project is already in place at 2 Quebec slaughterhouses and will be expanded across the country. We're going to let the courts decide whether the CFIA is appropriately following its regulations. It's our contention that they're not, said Demers. It's our contention that Canadians' health is more at risk than if they followed their regulations. The Liberal Foreign Affairs critic is calling for Canada's re-engagement in Sri Lanka amid growing concern for some 300,000 civilians trapped in the war zone. Bob Rae says that the government of Prime Minister Stephen Harper has been slow to get involved. He urged Harper to re-engage in Sri Lanka by talking with like-minded countries, trying to get the government back to the negotiating table and trying to secure a truce. On Wednesday, Foreign Affairs Minister Lawrence Cannon called for an immediate ceasefire to provide urgent humanitarian aid to the trapped civilians. The Sri Lankan government, which believes it is on the verge of a military victory in the 25-year-old war, has already rejected calls for a ceasefire and demanded unconditional surrender by the rebels. But Rae warned that there's no military solution to the problem. In sports news, Belgian cyclist Frederik Nolf was found dead in his Doha hotel room Thursday, hours before the start of the 5th stage of the Tour of Qatar. Belgian cycling team Topsport Vlaanderen Mercator said that the 21-year-old rider died in his sleep Wednesday night. The cause of death wasn't immediately known. The team quit the Qatar Tour and was returning to Belgium on Thursday. Former Italian international star Carolina Maratti is Canada's next women's soccer coach. Maratti, 45, succeeds Evan Pellerud, who stepped down last year after leading Canada to the quarterfinals of the Beijing Olympics. Maratti played 153 times for her country, scoring 105 goals. She is also the only woman in Europe to have coached a pro men's team, having run Series C side Viterbese. Maratti is to be introduced at a news conference later Thursday. Britney Spears' ex-husband is planning a U.S. tour to accompany the pop star's upcoming dates for her new album, Circus, so that the couple's sons can spend more time with their mom on the road. Federline was granted full custody of the boys last year after Spears suffered a series of highly publicized breakdowns and medical dramas. His lawyer has revealed that he is not adverse to planning a schedule around his ex's upcoming concerts, which kick off at the beginning of March, so that Spears can hang out with her sons between shows. The lawyer tells E! News that Spears will probably see the boys on pretty much the same schedule that she has now, under the terms of the new agreement. The full details of the new custody agreement are expected to be firmed up by the end of this week. In weather, we may be able to see the sun shining right now, but it'll be gone later this evening when the clouds will take over and the snowfall will begin. The snow won't be dense, but that's not going to stop the clouds. We'll be sticking around tomorrow. Later this afternoon, we'll see a high of -14 and it'll feel like -21. That's all for your news brief. For your full news, weather, sports, and entertainment update, tune in on Tuesday, February 10th at 1 p.m.